Hello and welcome everyone to LinkedIn for Inbound Marketers. I am Bryn Tillman and I am thrilled to be here with Chris Carr, the owner of Farotech. Are you owner or CEO or all of the above?
Pretty much all the above.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Chris is, he is probably the best inbound marketer I've ever met. He is absolutely incredible at not just understanding search engine optimization, but really leveraging social and other ways to really grow leads and to get people to actually opt into your stuff, right? And so we're going to talk a lot about that. I am sort of that LinkedIn person. A lot of you know me. Some of you might be the first time that we're talking. And we are going to combine our two gifts today and talk about inbound marketing and LinkedIn and how LinkedIn can really help build the leads for an inbound marketing campaign. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is great. I'm excited.
In like a line and a half, tell us about Farotech.
Well, we started in 2001, started out as a web development company, then moved to SEO, then moved to inbound marketing. We work with business to business, business to consumer. Our elevator pitch is that we focus on innovations in lead generation and conversion.
And that's hugely what you do, which is so exciting to have you here, because today it is about lead generation and conversion, and you really have this absolutely nailed down. So I'm really excited to get some of that wisdom from you. Tell me a little bit about how you define inbound marketing.
Well, I mean, I think one of the bigger things, and I think a lot of the people that are probably listening to the show, I'm assuming you're either using an analytics tool like HubSpot, Marketo, Infusionsoft, SharpSpring, or something like that. Well, the main thing you got to know about inbound marketing, at least in my humble opinion, is I think the term was invented by HubSpot, but it's really based upon the technology married with marketing. What do I mean by that? The ability to drop cookies on people's computers or tracking code on people's computers was a game changer for us. And so marketing really hasn't changed, but what has happened is the technology married with marketing sort of has. So we're kind of saying, how do you define inbound marketing? Well, I think inbound marketing is the ability to generate leads, usually cold leads at the top of your funnel, warm them up, lead nurture them, drip market to them, and then really ultimately try to get conversion. But I don't really like to stop there. I like to actually think of I'd like to get all my leads to become brand advocates. I want them to be referrals, and I really challenge clients that I have who are uncomfortable about asking their clients to just pass names along. Because, I mean, as you know, in LinkedIn, so much business that actually converts at such a higher rate when it's referred as opposed to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's crazy. I've been in SEO for so long, and, I'm pretty heavy in social, and even with all the analytics that I look at, like, I can never usually beat my referral traffic. It's just sort of the way it is. I guess I like to think that we try to complicate marketing, but the reality is that it hasn't changed too much. That if my wife or my friend or something like that told me to use a certain plumber, I would probably go on their referral a whole lot better than me doing a web search and hoping the guy is a 5-star plumber. You know what I mean? And so what I find in inbound marketing is that we try to overthink it. And the reality is that, it's engaging with the people you do know is probably one of the best things that you can do for yourself.
So interesting. Okay, so how do you measure a successful inbound marketing campaign? What do you do to figure out what's successful?
Yeah. Well, I trust in the numbers. I think that's probably the low hanging fruit and that's where the analytics tools like HubSpot and other ones are going to be so good. Is just that I think it's very easy to get lost in Google Analytics, and I'm not saying that the people that are using Google Analytics are missing something, but it's harder to find the core, what I call the key performance indicators or KPIs. What I like to do is I like to really focus in on how is lead scoring changing. And if you're new to this, let me just kind of express what lead scoring is. What we do is that we strive to get, if you're my client, I strive to get your clients to engage with your marketing, and particularly in a way that you're either going to open up an email or you're going to subscribe to a form. And once you subscribed, you're actually opting into having a cookie or a tracking code on your computer. And every time you engage with your marketing from that point on, your lead score is going to increase. So what do I use to find out the success? Obviously, I want conversion, but I want to be able to measure how many people are coming into the top of the funnel. How many people am I, nurturing along the way to get them from cold to warm, warm to hot, hot to a brand advocate that's going to refer more people.
Excellent. So your measurement is not just how many downloads did we get, but ultimately how much did we convert to business?
And how much is that lead score changing? Because you know what? Unless you're in one of those markets or those industries where the conversion funnel is very short, and I try not to work with clients that are like that. It's really important to speak to people in different parts of their journey, and we focus a lot on something called a buyer's journey. I don't know whether people have mentioned anything about that. I'm trying to look through the comments.
Yeah, we talk. I mean, I don't know if they've mentioned this here. I know it's hard to keep all. But I think the buyer's journey is so important. At what point, and if you're not measuring and you don't know at what point is your buyer shopping, at what point is your buyer getting approval for budget, at what time is your buyer talking with your competition, if you don't know that, you are totally out of the loop. There's a very low chance you're going to get that business.
Yeah, and I find that a lot of companies are really good at just speaking to one person, to people in one part of the buyer's journey. And the reality is, if I'm looking for a car, I'm just using this as an example, and people are telling me the difference between two different types of cars, and I haven't even decided whether I want a sports car, an SUV, or something like that, it's just not speaking the language that I'm ready for right now. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that we get a website, we get excited, and we want to blog, and we might go right to the bottom of the funnel, and it's like a buy now, buy now, buy now. And it feels like you're in Wildwood.
A used car salesman.
Yeah, used car salesman. Yeah, I use the joke, like you're in Wildwood, New Jersey, and you're walking on the boardwalk, and those guys are like Yankee in the store, and it's like, this looks perfect for you. And you're like, I have no idea why I'm here.
I own a lot of those T-shirts. Yeah, I'm just saying. But so sadly, I break that trend, and that's why they keep pulling people in. Yeah. Some people just buy.
What is it? It's 100% Italian, 100% perfect, or something like that. Like, yeah, okay. Like those shirts, they're
yeah. Yeah, I typically also, my other husband's a Mercedes. That was but so that's great. I love that. One of the biggest challenges I hear with people and inbound marketing is the ability to grow their list consistently with the right people. Is that something you're hearing?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with expectations as well. We at Fairtech, we try not to work with startups because I think I'm sort of backing up to answer your question. So let me kind of give you the long version.
And actually, before you go, if you like what Chris is saying, make sure you give him some props. Give him some high fives. And yeah, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Social Ben. I've always wanted to say that. Now I can. Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that you have here is we try not to work with many startups. And the reason why is that they usually come in and they say, well, how quick is this whole inbound marketing thing going to work? And, let's just say, particularly you take SEO, for example. First off, you're going to go and you're going to start out with content. You know what? You're going to write a blog. You're going to spend time writing a blog, and then you're going to try to promote the blog, and that's going to take time. And then, if you're going to have SEO, hopefully that's going to kick in anywhere between 60 to 90 days. And if that blog's no good, you've basically taken 90 days out of your world just hoping that this one piece of material is going to work. And I guess like Seth Godin says, I'd rather fail quickly. Mm-hmm. What does that mean is that I'd rather write really great content and distribute it out to a list prior to finding out how much, I don't really want to blaze new paths if I know that I'm getting high engagement, high opens from an existing email list. So what happens is that if you start out and you're a new client with me and you have no email list and you want to succeed in 60 to 90 days when you have no base, it's crazy. However, the $1 million question is, how do you get a good list? And then the second question is that there's an important rule that I've heard, and I think that it actually should not only be repeated, but I think it actually it doesn't exactly exaggerate the point, but you have this it's called the rule of the rule of 3% when you're talking about lists. So if I gave you a list in January and it had 1,000 people, and then looked at that same list in December, it literally decays by 3% month over month over month over month. And so if you're not on top of your list, you know what, like people that are buying lists from companies, it's crazy because you have no idea how old that list is. It could be completely decayed or 30% decayed or something like that. And so you are only as good as your database. Couldn't be more accurate in the world of inbound marketing. I mean, it really can't.
So that brings us into one of the best ways to grow that list is through LinkedIn, because that's a self-perpetuating list. Like if people leave jobs and they start a new job, they put in their new email. And so your connections are as fresh as they're ever going to be. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
And that, I think that if you are an agency or you are a business and you're trying to reach out to people in the business to business world, I mean, it's the biggest mall for people that say, you know what, I own a business. It's really like, it's right there. And you know what, if they're putting their best foot forward, which most people are, I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
So one of the promises we made on this is that we were going to get 4 times the leads using LinkedIn, right? So how are we going to grow our inbound marketing list with LinkedIn? So I love to share a couple of quick ideas, and we also have an open seat. So please feel free to join in if any of you marketers want to share some ideas or ask some questions. This is an amazing opportunity to talk with Chris because he's got lots of stuff, and we'd love to offer some personal advice to anyone that's interested as well. But let's talk about the LinkedIn side. So the very first thing I want to say is obviously you need to create that inbound opt-in, whether it's an ebook, an infographic, a video, whatever you're asking someone to download. You want to have a great lead page. Once that's completed, now our goal really is to get that in front of as many qualified people as possible, right, Chris? Is that sort of the goal, right?
Absolutely.
So LinkedIn is such a phenomenal place to do this because that's probably where your B2B people are hanging out. And if you're liking this content, if you guys could tell a little bird, that would be awesome. Bring some of your peeps in. No pun intended. We have someone joining. Oh, yay. Okay.
Audio only.
Audio only. That's okay. We'll get to you in just one moment. It might be sometimes if there's a poor internet connection, it's audio only. So LinkedIn, as Chris said, is, this is where all the business people are hanging out. So we certainly want to monetize and leverage that opportunity. And I say monetize, I'm not talking about making money yet. At this point, it's building your list. It's growing that list. There are lots of places to do this, but one of what I call the biggest sin on LinkedIn is to connect and forget. So the very first thing I would say is have a little template. Every time you connect with someone, share something. Sometimes I share a video. I have 5 LinkedIn tips. Sometimes I share my ebook, 11 tips that they can download. But whatever it is, I'm sharing content that will help build my list. And it really makes a huge impact. Once they've opted in by giving you their email, you can now, and Chris can talk more to this, create little campaigns. So if they're opting in to, if they opt into my ebook, it's one campaign. If they opt into my video, it's another campaign. So the first thing I would say for advice with LinkedIn is make sure you've got templates. Hello, Ted.
Hello. Can you hear me today?
I can. We'll get to you in just a second. So that's awesome. But so the very first thing is make sure every time you connect with someone that you're sending them something, that you're getting out a piece of content that they can download. And you can just say, I always say, as a networker, I always like to start off in giving mode, want to share this with you. So that's the first thing. I have a whole bunch more that we'll talk about, but you really want to convert as many of those as possible. So Sevilla, hello, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Do you have a question or some info you want to share with us today?
Well, a couple of questions. I'm on LinkedIn, have been for a couple of years. And I don't know, LinkedIn, I'm just really getting into using it now because I just didn't see how I could use it. But I guess now that I've stepped away from corporate America and really doing, what you read in my little blurb there about, walking alongside the woman who is childless, not by choice, I want to use all of my social media platforms as much as possible. I don't want to spread myself too thin, so I want to be efficient. So that was one of the questions I asked over on the sidebar. How do you efficiently manage your list? That was my first question.
That's a terrific question. So LinkedIn, there's two ways to do that. If you wanted to do it inside of LinkedIn, they have the tags function. Oh, okay. We're getting some feedback somewhere. They have the tags function where you can actually create categories, and you can actually even email 50 at a time. The only thing is you can't blind copy them anymore. But you can create a tag function so you can pull up just that list. And so that can be helpful. The other thing, the other way to do that is you can actually export your LinkedIn connections and you can import them into a CRM. I know HubSpot has a CRM. Nimble is a CRM that I usually recommend to a lot of my clients. There are a lot of them out there. Zoho, not Soho. Zoho, Z-O-H-O, it has 5 free seats, so you can start there. And you can categorize, you can import your LinkedIn connections and categorize them that way as well.
Okay. And what do you think about my my subject matter as it pertains to using LinkedIn? I mean, I assume you can use any platform for anything, but...
Yeah, so it's interesting because you're going after a sector of people that we can't define by filters or search criteria. What I would say is probably engage with therapists, engage with even divorce attorneys or fertility specialists. Great. And really create a referral source through LinkedIn.
That's a great idea. I never thought about that.
So that's the way I'd go. So I'm going to welcome Ted. How are you, Ted? Oh, we can't hear you now. Oh. You are muted, sir.
I muted myself in an effort not to. I'm on my boat, and there could be a kid screaming or a boat going by, so I didn't want to disturb the call.
That's awesome.
I do a major, and by the way, hi, good to see you again.
Virtual good hugs. To see you.
Yeah. I don't know this fellow to the right, to your right. What's your name?
This is Chris. Go ahead.
Yep. I'm Chris Carr. How you doing?
Hi, Ted Miller. Nice to meet you. I pay someone to help me actively stay in communication via email, and we're not really doing a lot within LinkedIn just because it seems like they were changing the rules a lot. So I send about 2,000 emails a day in an email format. So I heard you say LinkedIn allows you, so you could export my LinkedIn connections, which I don't even think I've ever bothered to do. Mm-hmm. And I could send them emails in my third party, even though they've not opted into any of my marketing funnels. I could just go ahead.
I'm going to let Chris answer that from a legal perspective.
Yeah, sure. Fire away.
Go ahead.
Now, I mean, you can definitely do that. What kind of CRM tool are you using?
Well, CRM's relative. So I use Infusionsoft, and I don't know how well we're using it as a CRM, but sure. As far as an email communication tool, Infusionsoft. So I don't even use Infusionsoft to send my emails there first because just to make sure I'm protecting the resource I have in Infusionsoft. Probably complicated maybe for too many on the call, but if you're in a situation where your Infusionsoft getting shut down is a big deal for you, I use a third-party email service to allow them to opt in and enter in my my sales funnels that way. That's what I'm doing currently.
Gotcha. And how are you gaining emails from LinkedIn?
Well, I don't know
Well,
if
this
I
would be through
am,
an
but I
export.
do have.
Yeah, you can.
I do have connections now. I don't know how many, but I'm not actively communicating with them. Where ironically, I'm communicating with complete strangers exponentially more than I am my own internal LinkedIn connections, because it's just another freaking tool to master, and I don't have enough.
So I'm going to tell you how I do this. This is really Chris's area when it comes to the email list. I don't claim to be an expert at that. I actually once a month export my connections and import them, and every new name that's being imported will get an email that says you've been added because you are a connection to Bryn Tillman on LinkedIn. If you prefer not to receive these emails, please opt out now. So that's, Chris, is that acceptable?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely probably the safest way to do that. I think one way to almost sweeten the pot there is to, as you mentioned a minute ago, to give and then get. And what I mean by that is that you start out the same introduction that you have. You're getting this email because we have this offer for you. However, we want to give you the opportunity. We want to give you the opportunity that if this is not something you're interested in, you can unsubscribe. Now, what I find pretty funny is some of the big shots use a language that's almost semi-patronizing, and it's really funny because they'll be like, if you're not interested in, hypothetically, gaining more website leads, then this is
I hate that.
not for you.
Yeah. I get how they do that and why they do it, just to polarize the audience. Like, I only want who's hot now, which is fair, and I'm not in a game of appeasing, but I sell and only work with business owners.
Sure.
So the quality has to be leveled up a notch, and I don't think little trite scarcity tactics. I mean, no disrespect to NLP practitioners on the call or something, but listen, the law influencing from Cialdini was written 20 plus years ago. The commitment, consistency, and the trite little statement to say yes, or say yes or yes is even rude and worse. So I agree with you 100%. Let's be more intelligent when we're offering something of value.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, Ted, didn't I sign up for something for you but couldn't do the dates?
Yeah, we're still working on you. You're gone until like October 21st. I'm like, girl, you can keep going around the world, but I'm going to bug you and keep pinging you and saying, here's another date, here's another date.
I know, I peed in everything. I'm so excited to work with you.
But I was like, she's so busy. It's like 3 weeks. I don't talk to her for 3 weeks. I'm getting on her blab, and I'll talk to her that way.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, Ted, remind me, what is your business again?
So I train entrepreneurs on how to better market, sell, and manage. Most of the people have gotten into my world because I was partnered with some big gurus. Tony Robbins, we ran all of his training, consulting, and coaching for 4 years. My late friend and business partner, Chet Holmes, that's where I started this endeavor in this industry 14 years ago. Okay. So, anyhow, so that's what we do. We work with business owners every day, and it's basics, primarily coaching, but it starts with training.
So if I can add now a second LinkedIn thing based on that. So now you've got all these great connections. Maybe you have some that are more pertinent than others. When we connected, we sent them an opt-in. So hopefully they're getting dripped on in Infusionsoft or HubSpot or whatever you're using, right? Whatever that is. I actually have a client that just brought in Act On, which is pretty cool too. I think they're probably all very similar. And so now you've got that going on. Inside of LinkedIn, however, getting people to opt into a second thing or a third thing makes them hotter and hotter. I think Chris mentioned kind of lead score. And if you have the right software, that's going to say they downloaded this, they watched this video, they opted in here, and all of a sudden this is someone who's really serious, right? So LinkedIn is such a great place to add to that nurturing. You've got the email going out here. You have a blog forum inside of LinkedIn. So content, I think, is the most important thing in business right now. And so if you're doing that on your website blog for SEO, you can be blogging inside of LinkedIn. And there's some huge benefits to that. Number one, if you blog inside of LinkedIn, it gets pushed to the notifications of all of your connections. So if you have a good reputation of content with those connections, they're going to continue to click through when they see you've published something. So that LinkedIn does for you. Number 2, if LinkedIn Pulse picks you up, they have these channels that people subscribe to. So if someone subscribes to the marketing channel and the marketing strategies channel picks you up, your piece is now on the homepage of every single solitary person that subscribes to that channel. So here's the inside scoop when you do that. When you publish on LinkedIn and you tweet it out, it will say @LinkedIn. If you change that to @LinkedIn Pulse, now LinkedIn Pulse is actually mentioned and you're higher up on their radar for categorizing into a channel. So I would say about 50% of the time that I blog and I tweet it out with @LinkedIn Pulse, I'm getting picked up. So that's huge, right? Chris, did you want to add to that?
Or no. I was actually going to compliment you in the fact that I think you really practice what you preach here, because we don't get to talk too much, but every Sunday I read your blog and I look at these little details of what you're doing, and I'm telling you, it works. I almost am at a point now with your LinkedIn stuff that I just try to copy you word for word.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do? If you guys are interested in reading my posts, if you go to linkedinposts.com, I bought that URL. You can go to linkedinposts.com and you can see all my blog posts. The biggest compliment you can ever give, the biggest thank you for the content I share, is for you to like and comment on that. That's anybody, right? If you read something and you love it, like it, comment on it, and share it. That the authors will appreciate it. Here's the next thing. So that's,
well, you mean also tell a bird. That doesn't hurt right now.
And tell a bird. Yeah. Am I pointing the right way?
I don't know. It pops up somewhere. It's that way.
Nope. That hand.
Okay.
There you go.
It's opposite for me. Tell a bird, please. Tell a bird. That would be awesome if you're enjoying this. So you really want to start to leverage. That's one of the ways. Are you, Ted, you're a blogger? You've got some blogs going on?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So in the past, the face of my brands were other gurus. So, is left up to, is Tony going to post? Is Robert Allen going to post? Is Chet Holmes going to post? And so now that I'm the face of my own proprietary brand, TM3, doing the same things I do when I'm bolted onto other gurus. So yes, and that's why this is all new for me and I'm checking it out. I like to just pay people to help me get a lot done. So I like done for you services. I get involved here to understand the distinctions and I delegate it. So that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, I've probably been hit up 7 times about the freaking software. And if you use Software Cool, about sending out the whatever in-mails every single day. That's great.
So I don't do in-mail.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, it's just kind of not at a scale that I need. I need a much bigger scale. So I get hit up for that all the time. But I wouldn't mind delegating some of these efforts. Not that my content will be delegated. I'll write the blog. I just want to be able to delegate the task of do this connection, do that. Like I have a little too much gray to have caught the bandwagon when everyone was tweeting and like doing this thing. Like I don't do that thing. So I'm not that quick, but I like getting the content out, adding value. That's what I'm here on the boat doing, is cranking out value add emails or documents or articles. And that's why I'm hiding away in the boat, but I wanted to come and see.
This is really not to make this about selling, because that's not the intent at all, but that's what Chris's company does, right? So he runs social, he runs all of that stuff for people. And there's a lot of things that you can outsource. I love that you say you want to do your own blogs, but here's what people at your level I highly recommend, unless you're a great writer, just start recording yourself talking, right? Start recording it. Start getting it down. I have Dragon Dictation on my phone, so I talk and it types for me. And then I can email it, and then we can refine it. I do write my own stuff, but there's a lot of things that I'll have an idea for my, one of my trainers to write on. I'll talk it and then email it's already it's already typed out. All you have to do is edit it. So there are lots of tools. I don't, Christy, what do you think about those tools?
Yeah, I mean, I have 23 writers on our staff, and I use a tool called Voxer, and I don't even do the dictation because I have not been patient enough with Dragon, and it misspells all my stuff or misreads all my stuff. And so what I do is I send an audio note to my writer. I basically outline it and speak from the top of my head about certain issues. And when I wake up the next morning or midday the next day, my writer's already written before I've even gotten to work. And then I'd rather edit what I wrote than start from scratch. And I think the more blog content you can do like that, kind of the better. I find that you have this notion that quality is king, and content is king, and content is king. And I really don't believe that anymore. And it sounds crazy and be like, what? But I really believe that if you spent more time on promoting content that is B-level content, you're going to probably have a bigger bang for your buck than writing Shakespeare. And what I mean by that is like a lot of people want to control it, and I want to write my own blogs. I want to do those type of things. You know what? Every single name of the game. You want to talk Infusionsoft. You want to talk Marketo. You want to talk about HubSpot, SharpSpring. They all talk about, hey, you know what? You got to create great content. You got to create great content. But the reality is that you can check out some of the pros in this, that by the year 2020, we will have a 500% increase in content. All of these content marketers are coming in and they're flooding the market space. And the reality is that all of these methodologies, while they are strong, they never talk about the audience itself. And if you spend as much time trying to find out where your audience is as you do writing quality content, you're going to have really great results. Does that make sense? I'm hoping you didn't hear the part of
in some ways you're feeling it's a quiet thing. I just tried to, Michael, I accidentally X'd you out. I apologize. I meant to accept and I X'd. If someone wants to join in the seat, Michael, if you want to join or anyone wants to join the seat, please do. For me, I mean, I understand what you're saying as far as volume, and I think we lost you, Ted. We lost Ted.
We'll figure this thing out.
Okay. I don't know. I must be doing something wrong. And if Ted, you can join back. We'd love to have you, or if someone else wants to grab the seat. And Seville, thanks so much for being on the blab. But I think for me, I am known for my quality content. And to your point, you said I read it every week and it means something. I do think the quality matters if you're really trying. And I think for Ted, it really matters because he needs to create. I mean, he's at this level, but not enough people know it yet. And the only way he's going to build his reputation at this level is to have kick butt content, I think.
Yeah. And I'm not, you know what, I'm hoping people don't focus on the wrong part of
message.
I'm not saying that content's not, I mean, I have a content marketing company and we have
right. That's what you do for a living.
You know, so that's the point. My point is that the biggest enigma now is that you have all these people that want to be found, and you know what? It's kind of like saying, well, how do I be found? We'll write quality content or write more needles. I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say here is that you're in a scenario where people are saying, you know what? Like, how do I be found? Well, write better content. Well, you know what? You need to know that you're not a needle in a haystack anymore. You're a needle in a stack of needles. So you can make that needle as sharp as you want, but if you don't have an audience and your content doesn't reach these people,
I agree.
Like you got a serious problem. I mean, how many people
I totally agree.
Are found on page 10 in SEO or never promoted in thing like that, and they just don't even know it exists?
I totally agree. And one of the things that I wrote a blog on, it's a LinkedIn myth. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So it is definitely not. And so I want to add a couple more things about LinkedIn, and then Michael will get to you. If the myth, if you build it, they will come, is a myth, right? You can build it all day long. You need to invite. So how do you do that?
Yep.
One of the things is you need to share it in groups. Share your content in groups. Every time you post something, share it in all your groups. Tweet it out. Share it on Facebook. And what I do, if I actually will now, and you can do this in HubSpot, I use Hootsuite for this. I will now schedule that blog to be shared every day at a different time for the next week. So that'll go out on Twitter and it will go on to my LinkedIn homepage every single day. So people will start to see that. The other thing is I will promote it sometimes in my signature. I'll, this week's blog, click here to read this week's blog. And so you want to draw as many people in as possible. Here's the next thing, though. When people are commenting and liking, you need to engage with them. So if you have someone that makes a comment and they're a second degree, you want to reply, engage, and connect. Why? The next time you post something, this is someone who has engaged with your stuff. They see it again, they're going to engage, and these are people you start to build a fan base. My last blog, which I'm happy to put up here, of course, was how do you engage with people on other people's blogs, right? So it's not even just your content. Other people are magnets, right? Other people write content and they're engaging with people that you want to engage with. So now if someone comments, reply, that's a great comment. Ask them to connect. Loved your comment. Please read the article first. Know what you're talking about. Don't go in and do this blind. Actually, number 5 in my list of things to do in doing this is read. But these are the ways that you're going to start to build people that are interested in the content, in the topic of your business. Michael, what would you like to add or ask today?
I have a couple questions.
Okay, first one.
Okay, how often should you publish a book?
So, Chris, I'll let you answer that, and I'll tell you what I do.
Yeah,
how often should you publish?
How often do you publish? All right. So in the blog world or in the Pulse world, I think that if you're going to focus on quality content, unless you've got a job that has a lot of freedom, I think that, I think you're going to have to really focus on writing quality content, which is going to require research. It's going to require figuring out how you want to promote it, who you want to promote it to. I mean, if you can get one quality blog out every week, I think that you're gonna do really well for yourself as far as, getting better subscribers and do those type of things. If you try to get out too many, I'm gonna probably throw a flag and just question your content. I think that there's a load of people that are just mimicking other people's ideas and then just trying to flood the market, just trying to go after keyword-based content only.
I found my exact blogs copied from other people. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. It's happened to me pretty much my whole career, but you know what?
Yeah, it's a compliment.
Let them have it. I hate when they copy me and their keyword outranks. They outrank me for a keyword. Then I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But you know what? Let them have it. I don't stand to deny it.
So I agree with Chris 100%. I am a once a week blog poster. I put up one a week. The key to that is you want to make sure that it is speaking to your audience. You want to really stick to a focus that if it's for business development particularly, but you want to constantly kind of check to make sure that content is what your prospects or your targeted audience is interested in. Sometimes we talk about things that they don't care about. And I notice when I do that, I get a lot less views, I get a lot less likes, a lot less comments, because it was about what I wanted to talk about, not what they wanted to hear. So it's really important that it's even worded that way. When I say too many I's in a blog instead of them and what they can do, it doesn't get the same. And I actually, by the way, here's another tip for building your list. At the bottom of every single blog, you want to have a call to action, right? If you liked this, download this, right? So you want to make sure you're doing that. So Michael, what was your second question?
How about videos in the post?
Videos are huge. So I think videos are huge. One of the things that I give is my 5 LinkedIn video tips. And it's through Wistia. So there's a gatekeeper where people add their email. And so they get into my list and then they get 10 weeks of emails off of that, reminding them what to do from the tips, right? So I've got that whole thing going. People love video. They just do. Make sure, though, it's not promotional. It's got all this stuff, all this opt-in needs to be your best stuff. Don't hold back. Like, this is where your best stuff. It does. People will say, well, why do you do that? They'll never hire you. No one is ever going to call a sales conference, fly in 75 people and say, hey, watch Bryn's video. They're going to hire me, even though the content is the same. It's okay. They still bring me in. So don't be afraid to share that.
Did I send you the trailer? Oh, no. We lost Bryn.
Yeah, I think we did lose Bryn. I think I might be co-authoring this. Let me just send her a text real quick. Let's see whether she can join back in. Give me 1 second.
Sorry.
Oh, you're back.
I'm
I was just about
back.
to text you. I was like, she left her own show.
I know. So to ask again, Michael, about Twitter. And then if somebody else wants to take the hot seat, we have, I guess, about 20 more minutes still. Not too bad. One more question.
Yeah. When they sent you my video, did they include my trailer?
I don't know. And Michael, I feel so bad. I have been so crazy busy. I haven't even gotten to it yet. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
And it will
I know you're busy as hell.
Yeah. I'll send it to me again with the trailer. I'll make sure I watch it.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to pop you off. Let's get somebody else on. Good to see you. We'll talk again.
Enjoy.
It's always a pleasure. Okay. So someone else want to get into the hot seat. And guys, if you can tell a little bird, that would be awesome. If you give, we would totally appreciate it. So we are talking, if you guys are just popping in, we are talking about LinkedIn for inbound marketers. So what have you found, Chris? And this, I'm with Chris from Faratech. They are really one of the best search engine optimization, content management, content creation companies, inbound marketers I've ever met. They are amazing. And I don't say that lightly. In my world, I meet many. So we're really, really thrilled to have him here. And I keep saying his name because it's just he has the Faratech Twitter. You don't. People are going to think that's your name, but it's really Chris. So if you guys have questions for Chris or questions for me, hop on. We would love to have you. So I'm going to share another LinkedIn secret on how to build this list, right? Because this is one of the big things that we're talking about today. And one of the things that I highly recommend in building LinkedIn list is making sure, well, we talked about, first we talked about when you connect with someone, make sure you offer something, right? The next thing is engaging your current connections. So someone had asked early on, I think Seville had asked about organizing your connections. You can create tags, and I recommend doing 50 at a time, of people that are in, a similar role that want similar content. And you can actually message all of them. You can't blind copy them anymore. You used to be able to do that. However, there is a paid program that I think is $45 a month called LinMail Pro that will email people through your LinkedIn. It's really pretty cool. But messaging people with your content. So at 50 at a time, you can say, have a new blog, thought you'd love this. Another way is mentioning them. Just like in Twitter, you can mention someone that you're connected to or any company in an update. So if you have a new blog and you want to mention a company or you want to mention a few people, it's a great way to get their attention. And there's a good chance they're going to like that. And when they like that, it goes to their newsfeed. And that's how it starts. And now when all the people that liked that, all the people you need to now connect with if you're not first degrees. And then when you connect, you send them a little message that says, here's a opt-in for you. And this is how you really start to build those leads.
Can I make a comment for you as well, Bryn? And
yeah.
So basically what happened here is that with Faratech, we started doing web development. We moved on to SEO. and we became inbound marketing. We totally dove in with both feet on inbound marketing. And what happens is that a company like HubSpot comes out and they give you the tools to be successful. And then all of a sudden you start writing your website and all your literature that says, hey, you know what? I know SEO now, and I know social media now, and I know all these things. But the reality is that there's a lot of times that you don't know these things, but because they give you tools, you act like you're the expert on this thing. And so one of the things that when you and I started working here, it's been a while now, is that I was wondering if you could elaborate for the people that are listening about, there's a lot of people that I get a lot of resistance from that would say, you know what, in LinkedIn, I really only want to use LinkedIn as my own portfolio. I don't want to have people in there that I don't actually have connections with and stuff like that. And so I want you to talk about the reality of looking at LinkedIn in a different way. And what I mean by that is not looking at it as just like your personal phone book, but more of like a networking event.
So one of my favorite things about LinkedIn is the ability to, it's not just your Rolodex, your phone book, right? It's the ability to search and filter your connections. So I am connected to Chris, and Chris is in my I call it my Rolodex, right? LinkedIn gives me now the ability to search Chris's connections. So I can start to see who Chris knows that I'm looking to meet. And I can leverage that relationship. Say, hey, Chris, I noticed you're connected to 7 people I'm trying to get in front of. Can we have a conversation about them? And after we talk through 7 and he goes down to 2 people he says I should be talking to. And I say, hey, Chris, would you mind making an introduction? So that's the core of how I started teaching LinkedIn for social selling. That's a little bit different than the inbound marketing, although it's really, really it's focused. I guess the way I think of inbound marketing, to me, this is true social selling, but I guess they overlap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like for me is that I think one of the biggest parts of what we bring to the table as a company is understanding buyer personas. And if you don't know who you're trying to sell to, and you're just kind of creating content just for the masses and stuff like that. One, I want to tell you right now to stop doing that. But 2 is that if you know who you want to speak to, LinkedIn is a great tool because literally you can just find out the actual person's name and their business title, and you can start to prospect that in that way. And so how is LinkedIn vital to inbound marketing? Well, it's vital to inbound marketing, at least in my book, because you know what? Once you've identified your buyer personas,
you can go
where they
pinpoint
live.
them.
Yeah.
No, so that's a great point. And I wasn't even thinking of the social selling side when we were doing this, but absolutely. So hello and welcome back, Ted.
I had a question about the selling, specifically what he just spoke of. That's why I wanted to hop in, ask a relevant question. So my persona, I think is the word you used.
But the buyer persona. Yep.
The buyer persona is just turned 50. And by the way, he used to be blue collar. He's now white collar out of Chicago. So I've really drilled down on that. Mm-hmm. And so
what do you do with that?
Yeah,
is that the question?
Well, yeah, I mean, because he said it works really well. And I just kind of wanted to see if he could give me a gem that went one step further, because I've done my homework. I know exactly who I'm speaking to. I've personally talked to 22,000 of these people. I really know what they're at. And I work really hard every single day to master a craft of communicating in a way that they know I know, and more importantly, that I care. How do you said it was valuable, but like how again is it valuable through LinkedIn? Because on LinkedIn, I just saw a lot of job titles and I had to look for owner,
So there's definitely like the buyer persona based on eye color, like all the way down, right? We know that exists. That's great for Facebook because Facebook has a zillion filters that you can find out things about. LinkedIn has limited filters. So when I create a buyer persona, so there's a couple things. So you are really B2C, right? You're really looking to the consumer. LinkedIn is more of a B2B world. So typically there's a couple ways we can handle this. If I were to work with you, I would say, let's build out the persona based on LinkedIn's filters. Let's look at your top 15 clients, top 20 clients that you love and want more of. Let's go into their profiles and now reprofile their persona to meet LinkedIn filters. So what industries are they in? How long have they been in certain companies? Maybe they're all in IBM, maybe whatever it is, right? Maybe they're all a particular type of person because they were blue collar and now they're in management, and that's a type of person. So whatever, we would drill down by finding those people and building out a new LinkedIn persona. That's number one. Number two, for you, I would start to identify who are your strategic alliances. Who are the people that these people are working with right now? Financial advisors, in my opinion, would be an amazing strategic alliance for you. This is someone who is now making some money, looking to get investment, and they're trying to better themselves. This is a great opportunity to identify where someone is and say to a financial advisor, hey, this is a trigger. If they're at this point, and that's a great referral for me. Some of it may be, you may get great referrals from divorce attorneys. I mean, I don't know, right? But it might be like they're trying to, another one. Oh, I have a great one. Mergers and acquisition people. Mm-hmm. When a guy sells his business, now what? What am I going to do when I grow up? I made $5 million. It's not enough to retire forever. I got to figure out what the next thing is. I don't know. I mean,
I like it. And you stumbled on to the ones that are really hot for me, which are when there's a merger, it's more importantly is about after they invested their money, they want that company to grow. And
the other side then.
Before someone puts their money in, they want to make sure that they're going to have the resources there to dial it up, because they're looking for underutilized assets, and an organization like myself comes in and gets those assets to perform better. So those are great. And I got One Source Coaching as a particular initiative that's for my strategic alliances that are my JV partners, where I bolt on my business coaching to the back of their brands. But that was really good. I've noticed the demographics for my actual end consumer is based on habits more than their actual demographic. It's not about the revenue side. I'd rather have a hungry guy trying to take his $2 million company to $5 million any day of the week than the complacent guy at $50 million, just any day of the week. So.
Hungry guy. I don't know where you are financially, but Chris is awesome. He is growing and growing and growing. I'm just saying. I mean, we're a workaholic, really looking to build an empire.
Yeah. But so help me out here though, Ted. You were saying before that you do C-level training and things like that for C-level.
Not C-level, only the business owners. Yeah, we work directly with business owners. I'm not working with a chief marketing officer. That's not it. They're usually majority of all my clients are small. I mean, because most companies are small, so they're all stuck at 5 trying to go to 10 million. Not all of them, but most.
Have you ever tried to reach out to, like I said before, it's like, we're like, oh, wow, you know what? We want to do all these things and we want to create this audience and we want to basically go out and have the greatest blog ever and stuff like that. And that takes a lot of time, energy, and work. Have you ever considered actually using the time that you're blogging in other resources? Like,
well, I don't spend a lot of time blogging though. I spend a lot of time looking to do direct response advertisements to get them into my world. So the way we got 12,000 CEOs and executives calling each and every single month is we had radio campaigns on Sirius Satellite and XM Radio. So we played that like crazy. And,
yeah, sure.
So I just, I spent a lot of time doing that. I want to spend more time blogging. That's where I'm just now moving into, because, what's happening is I'm marketing into their world, but, I want to have more fresh, readily available content that's in medias that they're accustomed to, because the world's going social and maybe I've been a little slow on the uptake. So,
I think one of the things that I would probably look into doing is looking into an organization like EO. You know what EO is? It's like an entrepreneurial alliance, but you're basically you can only really get in if you have about $1 million, but they give you blogging opportunities. And here you're able to speak with companies that are actively trying to grow. There's a high bar that lets you get in, and I'm part of one, and they are CEOs that are like That's all they want to do is sort of grow. They're hungry. So blogging there, maybe even finding ways to even pay to have ads there would be a smart thing. What I'm trying to say is that I really believe that you already know you can create quality content. You're saying not creating a ton of it, but you know you can do it. If you know you can do it, you know your knife's sharp enough, concentrate more on research on where to put your information than on trying to just build this huge audience yourself, because they're out there and other people have created really great malls, and you can put your kiosk there. And, so that's the one thing. I mean, I think everybody is like, oh, branding and all stuff like that. Well, I'm like, you know what? You can build your brand in other people's malls. And you know what? They're like, no, I'd rather spend my time writing that Shakespeare blog that's going to transform the world. And I'm like,
I spend 2 hours every Sunday morning writing my blog. That's it.
But you have a great subscriber base. And what I mean by that, Brandon, is you're in a very rare situation. I mean, most people aren't in that case. And if you're not in that case,
built it from the ground up, and I can replicate that with people. And I do. Yeah. I help my clients replicate that.
Yep.
And, and it's not as hard if you do it right and you do it consistent and you have a process.
Sure.
The problem is when you throw it on the wall and you do it for 3 weeks and you say it's not working.
It's not working. Yeah. Yep.
That's the problem. If for it to work, it's consistent and it's time or if you have the resources, you pay someone else for the time, but there's still a time commitment. Doesn't mean it has to be you. There's got to be commitment in that.
Yeah.
I would love, because we just have a couple more minutes, 6 more minutes. Stay on, Ted, but I'd love to bring on one more person, maybe Social Ben, who has shared tons of stuff, or is it? I hope I'm saying Boomy, or your website, Doctor. If you don't have an audience, someone out there has built one. Yes, that's true, and that was my last blog that I'm going to put up there. That was my blog from this Sunday. Was exactly that. It's are you leveraging other people's content to grow to engage your prospects? So I'm going to actually put that up there because I'm 100%. This is like totally where I'm focused. And this came out of the fact that one of my clients said, there's a huge influencer on LinkedIn. I'm never going to have the voice of this huge influencer on LinkedIn that is talking about exactly what I do. So he said, well, he's got 60, 70, 100,000 views every single time. He's got hundreds of people commenting. I'm like, great. He's the magnet. Go engage. He's done it for you, right? So definitely. So website Doctor, I don't know your name. Let me see your name. Alistar, if you want to hop in, we'd love to have you. Or Lisa. Thank you. I'm known for something, for good. Awesome. Come on, guys. This is a great opportunity. Do you know how much we cost if you want to talk to us?
Yeah, seriously. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like,
hey, Chris, you want to hop on at 7 o'clock at night and give away stuff for free? Sure.
You probably have $2,000 worth of an hour right here at minimum. Maybe more. I don't know what you cost normally, Ted, but I mean, this is an opportunity, guys. Oh, excellent. Alistar, hello.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to this guy. I've been reading some of his stuff.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes a minute.
And
Can you still
talking? I just can't hear him.
Alistar, I'm going to exit out and I'm going to have you do it again. Go ahead. Try again, please. Thank you. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We'll give it a minute.
Alistar, if you want to write a question into the comment, we might be able to just answer that directly if you got a good one. I'm not really getting you.
He may need to refresh. Here he comes.
There he is.
Hello.
Oh, wow, he's a pro.
Hey, guys.
Are you a podcaster?
I'm a wannabe podcaster.
Bye, Ted. You're a wannabe. Well, it looks like you are ready to go. So ask us your question or share with us what.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm interested in building my audience, and I'm trying to figure out some of those social media, social networks that I don't really understand. And I just started to get to grips with Instagram recently and find out what people are sharing and how it works. And LinkedIn is just kind of, it seems to be a bit beyond me at the moment. It just seems to be all broadcast and no real discussion. And maybe I'm just looking in the wrong areas.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Brent.
No, please, Chris.
So I can get some context. What is your product? What are you selling, and who are you selling to?
Okay, so what I previously sold and what I'm selling now are very different things. I'm kind of just getting I'm kind of turning the ship at the moment in terms of my business. I used to sell kind of low to mid-range websites and services around that. But the thing that I keep getting asked for is increasing online sales. So the area that I'm quite comfortable with is conversion optimization. Okay. So that's improving the websites. Just for anybody who's not familiar with that, so it's basically improving the websites. So it's working a lot on the websites themselves, and then building traffic. And so the building traffic side of the equation, I'm happy enough with SEO. Not so much with paid acquisition like PPC. And as for social networks, it's something I'm going to get into grips with. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can about those. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's why I hopped on here, was to kind of learn about LinkedIn. So
re-ask your original question now that I feel like I have the context. I got a multiple either questions and answers. So I'll let Brent answer. But
yeah, sure. Well, I guess is when I go into LinkedIn, like I've got 500 connections, and when I go in, I kind of feel like I'm just looking at a sea of people trying to broadcast at me without really trying to have a conversation. Everybody kind of seems to be in sales mode. So yeah, I kind of find it a bit overwhelming, and I'm not really sure where to start with it, you know?
So I love that question, because you're right. That's exactly what's happening. But we can create conversation, and it does happen. There's a little bit of conversation in groups, not a ton, but where the most conversation is happening is on blog posts inside of LinkedIn, inside of Pulse, where people are engaging with a really good piece of content. And so you can actually search content by topic. And let's say you want to search website development. You know, maybe that's the keyword you're going to use. Put them in quotes because it's 2 words. And then you click at the drop down, you choose post, which I think is second to the bottom. I'm trying to visualize it. And it's going to bring up every single post ever published on Pulse with the words website development in that. And then on the left-hand side, you can start to narrow that down. Maybe you only want to see the ones that were published in the last week. Maybe, you know, and so there's a little bit of filter on the left-hand side. And then you can see, even before you click in, how many views it's had. So if it has 7 views, I keep moving on, right? But if it has 80 views or 100 views, and then you click through and it's got 7 likes and 9 comments, you can now start to see who's liking this and who's commenting. You can like a comment, you can reply to a comment. My big thing, though, is please read the post before you start engaging. Read it. Yeah. One of the most crazy things for me is like when someone comments on something that has not, they surmised what my blog post was based on my topic, but it wasn't that, right? So you want to make sure you're informed. Otherwise, it's a waste of everybody's time, right? So you want to read it. Now comment, like, ask to connect with them. You can create conversation inside that blog post. And you can start to find posts of things that are interesting. You can find search engine optimization. I mean, you figure out, right, all those keywords, and now go find blog posts talking about that. Yeah. They're your magnet, right? So you're going to leverage somebody else's content there, and they're going to start attracting all the people you want to talk to.
Yeah. Okay. Can I have one more comment about that?
I would love it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I find interesting is that, so you're talking about mid-range, you know, mid to large range website development, right?
That's what I was doing. Yeah.
So let me just kind of pretend like that range is from $5,000 to $20,000, right? Mm-hmm. What I find interesting is I would go and look at blogs of someone who's like Neil Patel or somebody who's got a really large following, but also are just total rock stars, but who charge about $1,000 an hour. All right. So then these experts who are trying to figure this out for themselves are trying to ask this expert who's extremely high priced that would never work with them anyway, and they're asking these critical questions, but they're leaving all their contact information right there. And so you basically come in and solve the problem that Neil couldn't. And guess what? You can afford me.
All right. All right. You need to do props upon props. You right now, Alistar, go prop Mr. Chris Carr. That was brilliant.
Oh, wow.
That was brilliant.
Wow, man. Thank you.
That was brilliant. And and this was a great place because we're a little over the hour to end this. I had so much fun. Chris, did you have fun?
That was great. It was great.
Thank you all, everybody who's been on. You've been brilliant, and for everybody who's been commenting. Really enjoyed the show.
This was a really fun one. So
Cool.
before we pop off, make sure you're all following us. And thanks so much. Hopefully we'll do a second one.
Real quick, Bryn.
Yeah.
For the people that are there, I have to plug you because we're, what do you think if you were to look back in all your years? What do you think is the best offer that you've ever written? What gets downloaded the most? What do you think if I was like, if I had one thing to give to a person, what would it be?
So the best conversion for me are my 5 LinkedIn video tips. They're chapterized. You can watch the first one for free. After the first one, you have to give me your email to watch the next 4.
Yeah, makes sense.
The conversion rate of the people that watch the first one to then give me their email is very high.
Yeah.
And literally, and I'll put it here. It's actually, if you go to socialsaleslearning.com, it's there. And I mean, it is on a landing page where you can also buy my $297 e-class. Mm-hmm. So they learn, so they can learn. The 5 tips are free completely. I mean, other than you pay with an email, but because they're so powerful. And here's the thing: when I say you never have to cold call again, that's the phrase that gets my peeps.
That's awesome.
That's the phrase.
So my plug to anybody who's listening, I'm not trying to sell too hard, but the reality is that we've talked about a lot of things here and you're going to forget 90% of them within the hour. But while it's still fresh in your head, we're creating offers for you. So go to Bryn's page, download that, at least watch the video. You got
put yours. What do you have?
Yeah. Usually I like to just go with we have a complete guide to internet marketing. So
where's that link? Let's put that in there.
That's on my blog. It should be in the top right part of my blog.
On farotech.com.
Yeah, that gets downloaded about 30 times a day. So it's
all right.
It's either they love the subject line or they love the content. I don't know what it is more, but let me.
So is it okay? This is a comprehensive guide to internet marketing.
Yeah.
All right. So it's just on farotech.com. So I'm going to put this down, and you can go. It also comes up as a pop-up, which is great.
Great.
Awesome stuff. Well, this was a lot of fun. I hope we get to do this again. Make sure you're following us. And okay, Seville is looking at it right now. That's awesome.
Great.
This was fun. Thanks, Chris. Awesome. Can't wait to do more stuff with you.
Yep.